Hello my friends, and welcome to Paulina Art. Today I'm going to be painting this pretty floral with a hummingbird. It's all done in very cool colors and it almost looks like the night has fallen. I'm going to be sharing with you very easy techniques. I'm going to list below all the colors that I'm using, but of course you can use similar colors that you have at home. This is my own design. I'm going to link my Facebook page so you can download the pattern for free. You need to save it first and then print it. If you would like to see how I painted this pretty dusk garden with a hummingbird, stay with me and let's paint together. The colors that I'm going to be using today are titanium white, medium yellow, lamp black, or black, burnt umber, which I'm going to call brown, purple, magenta, and ultramarine blue. Of course, you can use similar colors. Today, I'm working on a 9x12 canvas. For my background, I use this large flat brush. This one is from the Mont Marte set. I'm going to attach a link of the review I did of these brushes. And this brush is great to paint backgrounds and to varnish paintings. And I applied a coat of a blue-gray first, which was a mix of white gesso with a drop of black and some ultramarine blue. Once my background was dry, I started applying the white gesso in the area where my hummingbird is going to be, but I didn't want just a round white circle. So with a smaller brush, I started blending the edges so my white is blended onto my background. And with the same brush, I applied more of my blue-gray that I've mixed. When I put my pattern, I can see that this is the area where my hummingbird is going to be, and this is the area that I want the lightest, but well blended onto the background. Once my background was completely dry, I transfer my pattern. I'm going to start with this small flat brush. This one is a number 12. I'm picking up some floating medium on my brush, but removing the excess. With my yellow and my ultramarine blue, I'm going to create this nice green color, which is the green that I'm going to be using in this painting. I'm going to make it darker or lighter as I need to, but this is like a forest green. And with my flat brush, I'm going to pick up some green on one side and some brown on the other side. My brush is covered with these two colors, and with the green color leading, I'm going to do these branches. I'm going to add more blue to my green because I want a very dark full green, and I'm going to be using this sponge that is very porous. If you don't have a sponge like this, you can use your round brush and basically just dot around. I'm going to use the sponge because it's faster. And I'm applying this on the edges of my canvas where I have my branches. I want to create the effect of leaves. With a sponge like this, you can create the effect very quickly. Okay, while all this side of my canvas dries, let's work on the hummingbird. I have some black and some brown on my liner brush. I'm mixing a very dark black brown. This is because I don't like my black to be so dark. I'm going to do the eyes and the beak And if it's a little messy like mine, you can clean it up with a damp brush. With some magenta and white, I'm creating this lighter pink. And I'm going to apply it in this side from the beak down here. And I'm mixing some white with yellow, creating a pale yellow. I'm going to add that in here, blending them a little bit, these two colors. For the body of the hummingbird, I have some blue, and I'm adding some white to create a lighter blue. I'm going to use this for the body of the hummingbird. And I'm leaving this area. I'm going to go back with other colors. This is just the first layer of paint. I'm establishing the colors that I'm going to use on the bird. And I'm going to leave a little bit of without coloring on the edge, so I know where the wing is folding when I go apply my second coat. And I have some of my purple color, and I'm going to add it in here. And I'm going to finish this with the blue. I'm going to let this dry. In this section, we're going to have hydrangeas, and at the top, we're going to have roses. So I'm going to start with my round brush, and my hydrangeas are going to be from around the neck of the hummingbird. So I'm going to just dabbing my brush. It's almost like a half circle that I'm doing. And there's going to be smaller ones around here. There's going to be larger ones at the bottom. And some small ones in closer to the hummingbird. That gives the painting some perspective. It looks like they are further away. And I'm going to do the same with my purple. Just dabbing my brush, creating semicircles, and maybe a small one in here. I'm creating a dark green with my blue and my yellow, and I'm using my flat brush, and I'm going to add leaves in this area. These are going to be the leaves from my roses. They're not going to be very large. Just like that. I'm going to cover the area where my roses are going to be with these leaves. And you can add some movement to your brush just to give more movement to the leaves. I'm going to add more blue to this green that I use for my roses, and with this darker green, more blue green, I'm going to make larger leaves for my hydrangeas. The leaves of the hydrangeas are going to be larger, and for that I'm going to add more movement to them. I'm going to press my brush and make the movement longer. The front ones are going to be smaller, but the ones at the front can be much larger. With my round brush, I'm mixing a lighter blue with white and blue. And I'm going to dab the brush again over the hydrangeas, just to give them a bit of dimension and highlight, just at the top. And I'm going to do the same with my purple. And I'm going to dab some highlights on the purple ones, just at the top. picking up now Magenta, and I'm going to start dabbing where I want my roses to be. These ones, like a teardrop, are going to be buds. And I'm going to make some rounder roses in here. They can be roundish or oval shape. These are going to be small little wild roses. Don't make them too large. They have to be smaller than the hydrangeas. Let's go back to our hummingbird. I'm going to be working with this small angle brush now. This one is a 3/8, I believe. The reason why I'm choosing this brush is because if I place it on my hummingbird, I can see it's small enough to do all the fine detail I want to do. I'm picking up some of my floating medium on the brush and removing the excess. And I have some ultramarine blue on the tip, on the toe of the brush, and I'm blending it. But I still want the blue only at the toe of the brush. This is going to help me blend the colors. So I'm going to start on the wings. And I'm going to bring it in. And I'm going to do this back wing. And the floating medium is helping me blend all the colors. Now I'm going to do this fold on the wing. I'm going up. And then I'm going to do the fold on the wing like that. I'm going to go around the head. I only want the dark at the top. Let's do the wings at the bottom. I'm just going to press and bring it up. And I'm going to add the same blue down his body in here, just like a shadow. With my liner brush and some white, I'm going to add a little bit of white around the eye. And a little bit around the beak, a little bit of a highlight. I'm going to add a dot of white in the eye. I'm also going to add some white on the wings. We're going to leave the hummingbird for now. You can always go over and intensify the yellows, the pinks, but I think it looks good. I'm going to go back to my round brush and I'm going to add some white on my hydrangeas, just on the side of the light. Just gonna dab like this. And I'm keeping it only around the light. With my flat brush, I'm going to mix a warmer green this time. It has more yellow. It makes them a much warmer green. And I'm going to add some lighter leaves just to make them more interesting. They're going to be large like the first ones. And the front ones again are smaller. Our hydrangeas are done. Let's move back to our roses. For the roses, I'm going to be using the same angle brush, and I'm going to pick up some floating medium, remove the excess, and I have white at the toe and magenta at the heel of my brush. I find much easier to paint my flowers with an angle brush. And for my buds, I'm only going to press and slide and do it again. These are going to be very, very loose flowers. This one is hanging this way, so I'm going to start with the front petals, and then I'm going to add the top petals. If I want to do an open rose like this one, I'm going to start by doing the outer petals just by pressing my brush. I'm going to do a few. I'm going to move it around. It's easier for me this way. I'm going to do the center. I'm going to close it. And I'm going to do some side petals. I don't want to make these roses too complicated or too detailed. This one can be an open rose again. So we're going to do the outer petals first. And then the center of my rose can be here. And I'm going to add some little side petals. My buds, I just press the brush and slide, and again, same with this one. While the roses dry, let's do some daisies around this area. And I have mixed this green with my blue, my yellow, and some white. And I'm using my flat brush. And I'm going to do the leaves, some branches. The leaves of the daisies have a little bit of a movement like that. And then they can infringe on the other flowers too. Okay, we're going to let that dry. With my angle brush, I'm going to pick up some of the same blue-green I use for the leaves of the roses. And I'm going to add the stems. Each rose has a stem. And I'm going to add the sepals by pressing and hugging the bud. I'm hugging the sides of the bud. I'm going to add some white to that same green, create a lighter green. And I'm going to add some lighter leaves on my roses. I think I needed more yellow. Just so they're not so dark. This gives the painting more dimension. We still want to see the dark ones. Let's go back to our daisies. I'm going to be using this round brush that has a nice little point. And I have titanium white, and I'm going to start doing the petals just by flicking my brush. And I don't want them to be perfect. I want this painting to be very loose and easy. Make sure you have lots of white on the brush. This gives the flowers more volume. And I'm doing the petals from the outside in, from the outside to the center of the flower. And I don't care how many petals each flower has. And on some of them I'm doing only half of the petals because these flowers are facing a different way. I'm mixing some yellow with magenta to create this nice bright orange. And with the end of my brush, I'm going to pick up this color. And I'm going to dot a center on my flowers. And I'm going to make sure each flower has a bit of a stem. At this point, you can look at your painting and see if it needs anything else. And the painting is done. You can leave it as is, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to my sink and I'm going to cover the hummingbird with a piece of paper towel, and I'm going to sprinkle some of my magenta around the flowers, just to finish my painting this way. Okay, my friends, I splatter some of my magenta. I hope you enjoy this painting. I hope you enjoy this video. I hope you learned something new. If you like this video, please give it a like, comment below, share with your friends, and subscribe to my channel if you don't want to miss any future content from me. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you on the next one.